On the 30th of December 2014, we took the train from Yangon to Bagan in Myanmar. As we approached the train, these friendly local girls helped us aboard. As it turned out, they were only there to sell us beer.
No, I'm alright, thanks. No, don't want any beer. Later, no. Sorry? Later, no. Maybe later, but not now. No later. No later.
Thankfully, this uniformed porter came to rescue me, and it wasn't too much longer before we were leaving the station. It wasn't long before we were at speed, well into the 19-hour journey that we had ahead. I decided to take a look around the train. I was particularly worried about the state of the coupling. I made a mental note that later on in the evening, especially if I'd had a drink, I'd take extra care crossing these paths. When I returned to the cabin, Tracy had met our cabin mates, a friendly Thai couple, and I'm only sorry that I can't remember their names. We journeyed on into the evening, and at one station we passed, people were flying kites in the first of the evening sun. It was great fun just hanging outside of the carriage, watching Burmese life go by. We didn't realise that we were invading the privacy of the people in the next carriage. We were obliviously unaware. The night was now most definitely drawing in. We'd been on the train for about 5 hours. We'd had a fantastic afternoon. It was time just to relax and watch the sunset before the inevitable night frivolities which would follow. And boy, did they follow. Remember the uniformed porter? Well, here he is with his mate hanging around in his white vest. Both of them trying to sell us beer at any opportunity. It turned out that there was a promotion on beer. By peeling back the inside of your beer cap, you could win a monetary prize.
Is it good? Yes. Yay! Really? It's excellent. 500. Oh.
It turned out I'd won a 500 cheque, about 32 English pence. This was the night porter that was going to be responsible for my security and safety, so I decided to give my prize to him. We shook hands and we were friends for the rest of the journey. Later in the evening, at a remote station, some locals got on to sell us some food. I ordered chicken and rice. Yes, that's chicken and rice. I was a bit knocked off about my lack of chicken, so I went to find the person that had sold it to me. Good to his word, the vendor arrived in my carriage a couple of minutes later to put the wrong right. It's important to remember that language barriers can be broken down by the use of non-verbal communications. I wanted chicken. That's right, chicken. This guy was not going to deprive me, and I was grateful for him returning to the carriage and sorting things out.
Nice one, chicken. Thank you. Thanks a lot, yeah.
This is the kind of meal you can expect to eat on the train. Rice, chicken, and a little curry sauce. It was actually nice and tasty. We sat back, relaxed, ate chicken and rice, and drunk some more beer whilst chatting to our Thai friends. I hadn't realised it, but the night porter was a runner. He can do a marathon in 999, which I translated to mean under 3 hours. It seemed natural that we should get changed and pose in our respective club vests. Me Grantham Running Club and him in his Burmese Running Club vest. Clearly the night was getting on. Our Thai friends had gone to sleep and we decided it was only fair to get some shut-eye too. It had been a fantastic day on the train and we wondered what tomorrow had in store. The next morning, as usual, Tracy woke as fresh as a daisy. I continued to sleep in my coffin-like pregnant position. It wasn't long before we were both back in the land of the living, looking back outside of the train carriage, watching the Burmese morning whistle past us on the train. The landscape had changed quite dramatically. The sides of the train were now lined with palm trees and monks going about their daily business. The train had crashed around a bit during the night, but the coupling was holding strong. It was time for my favourite part of the journey. These two children, deep in the Burmese countryside, seemed fascinated with the train that had pulled alongside the track and with the people that were on it. We spent time waving to them and bonding with them, and as the train moved away, they decided to chase it as far as they could. One of the children barefoot and the other wearing a pair of basic sandals, they managed to run alongside the train for some distance before the train became too fast and we moved away. A fantastic sight to greet us in the morning. Maybe the next Mo Farahs. Sadly, our journey was almost done. We were approaching Bagan train station about 19 hours after we had left Yangon. This pack of wild men jumped aboard the train even before the train had stopped. It turns out that they were members of the local taxi cartel. They wandered down our carriage and stuck to us like glue. When we got off the train, there was no getting rid of them. Bagan train station's in the middle of nowhere and you have no choice but to hire one of these drivers at an inflated price. All I could do was have a wander up the train and keep the driver waiting for a little bit. We'd had a great time on the Yangon to Bagan train, a 19-hour journey of fun that's recommended if you're ever in Myanmar.